Political outrage turns bloody in Berkeley. Our KPIX5 crews were right in the middle of the chaos as both Trump supporters and anti-Trump activists come to blows. And good evening, I'm Juliette Goodrich.
And I'm Brian Hackney.
Now we're going to go live to Berkeley in just a moment, but first we have some breaking news. Chopper 5 is live over a car lot on Stevenson Boulevard in Fremont. At least 20 cars are on fire right now. It looks like there are hundreds of cars at this lot. Now the business is at that address. It's called IAA Vehicle Purchasing. We believe this is mostly a lot of used cars that are sold at auction. Their website says they sell 600 cars every Monday, including used cars from rental car companies Avis and Budget. They also sell motorcycles.
That's what it looks like now, but take a look at this video from about 15 minutes ago. Again, this is a car lot belonging to IAA Vehicle Purchasing. It's on Stevenson Boulevard, right off the Nimitz Freeway. We don't know how the fire started. We just got off the phone with the Fremont Fire Department. They told us the fire got so big so fast because firefighters had a hard time getting access because the lot is closed today. Fire department says nobody's been hurt. Just in the last few minutes, we've actually seen the fire calm down, but we are keeping an eye on it. We'll have an update in just a few minutes. Now let's get back to the violent protests that erupted today in Berkeley. This afternoon, Chopper 5 saw this. Police literally drawing a line down the middle of Civic Center Park in Berkeley to try to keep the pro-Trump and anti-Trump protesters separated.
But KPIX5's Daw Lin was there when it went from a protest to an all-out fight. Daw.
Juliette, Brian, the protesters, demonstrators mostly are gone now. So downtown Berkeley, Civic Center Park, back to normal as we speak. But it was a long, rough day. There were so many fights, so many bloody faces. We lost count. And it was very dangerous, violent, and chaotic. Before the M80s, the fistfights and the rocks, there was actually a bit of order. Berkeley police came in with a strategy. They confiscated weapons and formed a line between Trump supporters and anti-Trump protesters. That worked for the first hour. But shortly after, people jumped over the police line to fight each other. This Trump supporter was the first casualty of the day, with blood streaming out of his face.
Well, they wanted to hit me with brass knuckles on the blind side. We're here for free speech. They hit him and knocked him on the ground.
Hit me twice. Once when I was getting up. It's sad.
Then more fights broke out in front of officers in Civic Center Park. Police made some arrests. But the police strategy stopped working after both Trump supporters and anti-Trump protesters left the park to fight on the street. Officers were outnumbered. They had to watch the fights from a distance. The dueling rallies grew to a large crowd of roughly 1,000 to 1,500 people. And there were fights all over the place. You okay?
I'll be okay. Yeah. Right there. I got pepper sprayed and hit with a bunch of sticks.
Aside from fighting, people threw M80s, rocks, and bottles at each other. Some of the peaceful demonstrators left, fearing for their own safety.
There's a difference between free speech and free action. What's happening here is just like that. This is turning to action.
From my observation, a lot of these folks came here to fight. They didn't come here for constructive conversations between the two groups. And of course, that resulted in the many fights that we saw out here. Berkeley police say earlier this afternoon, they arrested about 15 people. I'm sure the number has gone up by now.
You know, Daw, you say people came there to fight. Could you, and you said you based that on simple observation. Can you say who came to fight? Was it Trump supporters? Was it Trump protesters? Was it both?
You know, both sides are pointing the finger at the other side, basically. But I can tell you just from observation, both sides had instigators. They're saying that, well, it was the other side starting to beat us up, and then we defended ourselves. But just from observation, a lot of the fights that we saw, there were instigators coming from both sides. So I think both sides have to take responsibility there. And of course, it got to become very dangerous covering this event too. I mean, we had 3 photographers and myself as well. Some of us actually had to put on a helmet just to make sure that we didn't get hit by the rocks or the cans or bottles that were being thrown. And some of the folks, aside from weapons, they check out what they brought with them. Dozens of eggs. These eggs were actually confiscated, and they couldn't bring it in. So we actually got a hold of these eggs. So, like I said, a lot of these folks, they didn't come here for a constructive conversation learning process. They came here to put up a good fight.
Well, ironic. From the home of the free speech movement, Lynn, thanks. We saw the same kind of violence last month, by the way. Pro-Trump and anti-Trump protesters got into it at the very same park in Berkeley. Faces were bloodied, bodies were bruised, just like they were today, and all 10 people were arrested back then. Officers at that protest also confiscated a variety of weapons, including metal pipes, bats, and a bag of bricks. And here's a look at just some of the banned items that police confiscated in the park today. You can see plenty of sticks, poles, and flags. There was also a large folding knife. We're continuing to keep a close eye on the situation in Berkeley, and we'll bring you live updates throughout the newscasts.
Well, in San Francisco, people marched to demand